Michael Morgan here for WHOATV, sitting alongside Eubank Jr. Now, I have to say, of the press conferences I've been attending, this has been one of the most liveliest, and it's been instigated by one of the people who aren't even fighting on the card. Now, I'm going to be real with you right here. Just looking at the kind of like body language and looking at the kind of like dynamics between you and, you know, the rest of the panel, it looked a little bit uncomfortable for you. I mean, just talk me through what was going through your head.
It's not uncomfortable for me. I know my father. I've dealt with his way of doing things my entire life. So there was nothing uncomfortable. I found it funny.
Now, there did seem a bit of a misunderstanding between your father and Connor Benn. What do you think your father was trying to say that was misinterpreted?
He wasn't talking. Connor thought he was talking about his personal life. All he was saying was that he thinks that his dad should be with him. That's all.
Just speaking of fathers and proximity, obviously your father has had a very pivotal role in not only your upbringing but your introduction to boxing. I wouldn't mind just like delving into that ever so slightly. Just talk me through the upbringing. Just talk me through that introduction to boxing.
He didn't introduce me to boxing. He kept me away from boxing for many years. I had to introduce myself. For years I was kind of bugging him and, let me fight. And, after a while he gave in. He was like, all right, go on. And I just, went down to the gyms and kind of started my own thing. And once he realized, wow, he's going to the gym every day, not missing any days, training. So once he realized that was what I wanted to do, that's when he helped me to go over to the States and train with the likes of Mike McCallum and Floyd Mayweather Sr.
You spoke about it briefly on the stage. Now, he is very instrumental in your training. He is very instrumental in your mentality, it would seem. How much of that is at odds with your own personality, or would you say that sort of personality is actually trickled down through the genes anyway?
I think me and my father are very similar in certain ways, and we're very different in others. As far as his personality, he's my father, so we're going to have similarities, but I am my own man.
Now, you kind of like probably would have seen many people like buzzing around Connor, and a recurring question does seem to be, considering that you're now both signed to Matchroom, is that it will be, for an old romantic like myself who watched your father and watched Nigel Benn back in the day, a romantic idea is being floated, like not now, not this year, but sometime in the future, that you two can actually go head to head. How realistic, considering the weight disparity for a second? And secondly, the fact in terms of experience, what's your opinion on the whole thing?
It wouldn't be any time soon, that's for sure. But he's a young kid, give him a few years, and he probably will put on a lot more weight. And once he's got those fights underneath his belt, then anything's possible.
Okay, let's fast forward to the matter at hand. You've obviously got a little hurdle before you move on to the what's been billed as going to be the making of you. But this fight on Saturday, it does, to all intents and purposes, again, if I can be real with you, it looks as though you're ever so slightly jumping the gun and looking ahead of your opponent. How realistic is it in the eyes of those people watching that you're actually going to rinse through Doren?
You don't rinse through anybody. Every fight is difficult, mentally, physically. There's always difficulties. As far as boxing ability, he doesn't have anything on me, and that's where I get my confidence from. That's why when I was asked if I'm worried or if I see anything dangerous about him, I said there's nothing. But that's a psychological thing as well. I'm letting him know I'm not playing around. You're gonna have to prove something to me. I was trying to get something out of him because he's not. He wasn't saying. He doesn't have anything to say for himself. He's boring. And this is an entertainment business. Give the public something to talk about. But again, every fight is different. So that's his way of dealing with the fight and with the pre-fight talks. He doesn't really have much to say for himself, which is something I'm not really used to. I'm used to guys having more than enough to say for themselves and about me. So it's different. But I think he's going to come in there and he says he's going to stand toe to toe with me. So we'll see what happens.
In the build-up to this, there's been a lot of, how can I put it, conversation around Mr. Triple G. And I think even Doren said it himself, that he's surprised that his nameplate didn't actually say Triple G. Just before we touch on Triple G, obviously your loss to Billy Joe Saunders still rankles, because maybe there's been too much emphasis in headlines, but it's something that you want to actually get back. How much of that is actually factoring into your thoughts going forward, or is it all about Mr. Triple G?
Now it's all about Triple G. The fight with Saunders we've tried to make it, hasn't come through, so we're moving on now. Triple G is considered the best middleweight in the world, so that's the fight we're going for. And after that, if Saunders is man enough, we'll get the rematch on. The public are demanding it, so he doesn't really have a choice.
And just finally, you touched upon the fact that this is an entertainment business. Similarly, it's an entertainment business for mixed martial arts. I'm not sure if you follow the UFC. You were talking about the entertainment business. One person who's certainly very entertaining in mixed martial arts, particularly in the UFC, is Conor McGregor. Are you familiar with this man and his work?
Yeah, I've watched Conor McGregor fight before.
What's your opinion? I mean, a lot of people say that he's, put it this way, in terms of his last fight, hasn't been able to back up his talk. He's very flamboyant. He's very verbose. He's very entertaining. I mean, just talk to me about Conor McGregor.
All I will talk about is on the boxing side of things. We're going to stick to boxing. He wants to fight Mayweather. I don't believe that boxing and MMA are two different things. And for an MMA fighter to go in against one of the best in the world, or the best in the world, pound for pound, it's a tall order, man. Anything can happen, but in terms of boxing, I'd say if Mayweather was to go into the UFC cage and fight, he would lose. And if McGregor goes in there and fights in a ring with Mayweather, he's going to lose.